Hey good people, and welcome back to the channel. It feels like it's been ages since the last new episode of Hell's Kitchen aired for the season, and I hope each and every one of you had an amazing experience over the holidays. But over the course of this review, I'll be sharing my highlights for tonight's episode, I'll share my thoughts on tonight's elimination process, and I'll also give my final thoughts on which chefs will likely make it to the Black Jacket round. So without any further delay, let's jump right in. The first highlight would have to be the episode challenge. In tonight's challenge, the chefs have to go head-to-head when cooking an international-inspired cuisine. The chefs going up against each other are Kyle and Whit, Brandon and Hannah, Joe and Amanda, and lastly, Egypt and Anne-Marie. In this challenge, there weren't any bad dishes that were prepared. According to the judge, the dishes were either good or they were great. And at the end of the challenge, the score was tied and the tiebreaker went to Egypt for the best dish of the challenge. In my opinion, this recognition was significant because there were several other episodes of the season where the blue team lost their respective challenge because they didn't have faith in Egypt and his ability to represent the blue team. So I see this win to be very significant because it shows that Egypt is still a major force in the competition. The second highlight of the episode would have to be the red team's punishment scene. Because the red team lost the challenge, they were tasked with baking cupcakes for dinner service. If you ask me, this has got to be one of the easiest punishments for the season. But nevertheless, Whit wasn't too happy about her team losing the challenge, and her attitude about the situation seems to rub her teammates the wrong way. I honestly feel that Whit has been one of the strongest chefs in this competition. But I think that Whit's attitude will eventually rub Gordon the wrong way, and Whit's likability, or lack thereof, may prevent her from winning the head chef job at the end of the season. The third highlight for tonight's episode would have to be the charity night dinner service. Now, long story short, this dinner service was an overall success. The guests that ate their food loved all the dishes, and none of the guests sent their dishes back to the kitchen. However, this dinner service was designed for the remaining chefs to showcase their leadership skills, and boy do we get a chance to see which chefs flourished as leaders and which didn't. From the red team, I wasn't surprised that Anne-Marie struggled as a leader, and Amanda as a leader had more excuses than solutions when it came to her struggles. But I was surprised to see that Hannah was being acknowledged as the best leader on the red team. I think that Whit has the better overall leadership skills, but I also feel that Whit is sleeping on her competition, and it'll only be a matter of time before Whit implodes and begins to self-sabotage. The blue team did a little better in my opinion, but I was surprised that Kyle stepped up and became the strongest leader on the blue team. I think that Kyle did a great job this episode was in part because he didn't have to cook first or second, which meant that he had the opportunity to sit back and learn from Egypt and Joe's mistakes. I still believe that Egypt has the better overall leadership skills, and I'm not fully on board with Kyle as the great leader in the kitchen just yet. So at the end of tonight's dinner service, Gordon tells Hannah and Kyle to meet with their teammates and pick 2 people from each team to be up for elimination. Hannah picks Amanda and Anne-Marie, while Kyle picks Egypt and Joe. Now picking Joe was a given, but for Kyle to pick Egypt over Brandon seems like a move that was done because Kyle has an allegiance to Brandon, and he sees Egypt as the bigger threat. But coming into tonight's dinner service, I had a feeling that there would be a double elimination, and boy was I not surprised. In this elimination, Anne-Marie and Joe got the boot. Anne-Marie has been working on borrowed time for the past few months, so I'm not shocked with her elimination. I'm also really not shocked with Joe's elimination. I know that there's several people who love Joe and respect his skills in the kitchen. I'm definitely a Joe fan, but I'll admit, I didn't give Joe much of a chance in the beginning of the season, but the longer I watched this season, the more respect I had for Joe. However, I've always said that Joe's leadership skills were under investigation, and it was only a matter of time before Gordon would take notice. So we have 6 remaining chefs in the competition, and we're coming down the home stretch. The next episode will be titled Black Jacket Time, and it's when Gordon hands out the black jackets for the most deserving chefs. If you ask me, I strongly believe that Gordon will hand the black jacket to all the 6 remaining chefs, and I believe he'll do so because of a comment that Gordon made in the previews. Gordon mentioned how hard it would be for him to decide which chefs get the black jacket. And typically when he says something like this, he's just going to give it to everybody. So if this happens, I truly believe that episode 13 will be a double elimination episode, which will bring the chefs down to 4, and then the next episode will be a single elimination, which will then give us our final 3 chefs. Before tonight's episode, I had Wit in Egypt as going to the finale, but it looks like Wit might have a breakdown of sorts on the next episode. This breakdown could be a misdirection by the show, or it could be real, in which I think that the final 2 chefs would eventually be Hannah in Egypt or Hannah and Kyle. I have absolutely no faith that Amanda and Brandon will make it to the finale, and this is solely because of their lack of leadership skills. But we shall see. And this marks the end of my review. If you have any comments related to the review or the episode, feel free to leave them below in the comment section, and I'll be sure to reply to everybody. Until next time, stay tuned and stay safe. Peace.